Do you remember that incident that happened on December 30th, 2025, at Disney Hollywood Studios in Florida, where the boulder in the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular went off its track, and it was rolling through towards the audience, and the stuntman jumped in the way, and he got thrown on his, I mean, he got thrown back, and looks like, when you look at the video, you're like, how heavy can this boulder thing be? I mean, it's bouncing, bouncing. But apparently the thing was pretty heavy. It was like 400 pounds. And the stuntman, Robert Herrick, actually suffered two fractured vertebrae in his neck. So fairly significant injury. But what I was interested looking at back at this is his family had set up a GoFundMe page and raised about $11,871. And whenever I'm seeing somebody, and I'm assuming, like, I'm just looking, what if this was in Ohio and this individual was receiving temporary total disability compensation? Would he also be able to receive money, from like a GoFundMe type scheme, like this gentleman did? And so there's a couple of things to consider. Is one, would he be able to receive temporary total disability and this GoFundMe money? Would that be inconsistent, and would that be considered some kind of fraudulent type of thing? And then also, would there be an offset? So first, let's look at whether or not this GoFundMe scheme would be inconsistent with receiving temporary total disability, i.e., would he be able to receive both, or would he be considering fraud? So the courts in Ohio there's three things they look at. Are the activities medically inconsistent with his restrictions? So presumably his restrictions, either he has work restrictions or he's taken off work completely due to the neck fractures, that wouldn't preclude him from typing on the computer. So it wouldn't be medically inconsistent. Do his activities directly generate income, whether or not he himself received that income from the activity? So he's not actually doing some activity that's generating income, and he's just saying, hey, I got injured, could you guys donate money to me? And then are the activities that he's performing minimum in nature? Generally speaking, he's just set up at a GoFundMe, and he might not actually have set up the GoFundMe. It might have been his family. But we have two other cases, Supreme Court cases, that kind of give us an idea of how this works. And there's this Boehler case from 2003, and it's State Extra American Standard Incorporated versus Boehler. And essentially, the guy was renting property, and he was basically had rental property, and he was seen at the rental property basically telling people, hey, fix this, paint that. And the court said that wasn't work, and they basically said TTT is precluded when he or she is paid money in a direct exchange for labor. So renting property is basically passive income, and therefore he's not doing like painting the wall and being paid for the wall that he's painting. So, and then there's another case where the guy, similar thing, running a lawn care business. He's just telling people what lawns to mow. So in this case, I would say this is a gift, and he would be able to receive the GoFundMe money. And then the other issue is there an offset. So generally speaking, there's a few instances where income is offset. Social Security retirement, there's an offset. So you can't receive both Social Security retirement and your TTD. There's going to be an offset. I mean, you can receive both of them, but one's going to be offset by the other. Similarly speaking, if you have state unemployment compensation, and you're also receiving temporary total disability compensation, there will be an offset. So you're not going to receive 100% of both. Now, vacation pay, if you have accrued vacation pay, you could cash that in, and there's no offset. So if you have vacation pay that you haven't spent, that you've earned, you can cash that in, get paid that, and also get temporary total disability compensation. But generally speaking, I think this guy, if this happened in Ohio, and he was at Kings Island and there was a similar situation, and he set up a GoFundMe page, and he was receiving some kind of money from that, I think he would be okay, because I think it would be considered a gift. But this is one of those things where, if you're not sure, you want to reach out to a workers' comp attorney, because there's been instances where, and remember that second thing that I stated, do your activities directly generate income, whether or not you yourself receive income from that activity? There's case law where they weren't being paid directly. They were basically volunteering, and this was in a pizza shop, and the person wasn't making any money from their activities, but their activities were generating income for somebody else. And the court said, well, that is working. You're receiving wages, even though you weren't getting the wages, somebody else was getting the wages from the work that you're performing, and therefore you wouldn't have been entitled to temporary total disability. And if that person did, then that might be considered fraud. At the very least, there'd be an overpayment, and you wouldn't be allowed to get temporary total in that instance. So anyways, that's the situation at the Disney. And I just, again, I'm kind of interested in things that happen at Disney for whatever reason. And so I just wanted to revisit that. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a weird fact pattern with the GoFundMe. But again, this is one of those situations where you do want to reach out to a workers' comp attorney if you're getting like a GoFundMe type thing, because maybe you are skirting the line, and maybe that would be a problem. And regardless, if you have a workers' comp situation, it's always going to benefit you to reach out to a workers' comp attorney to discuss that situation. Ask your friends, neighbor, coworkers, rabbi, priest, preacher, etc. Who do they recommend? And then talk to that, attorney, or talk to multiple attorneys, because I'm telling you, you're going to want to find the best attorney for you. It's always going to be hard to jump and fire attorneys and hire another attorney, because most of the time, many attorneys are very reticent to get involved when somebody's represented already or had been represented for their work injury. There's usually some weird angle why that soured, and it could either be the attorney that they were representing them wasn't doing a good job, or it could be that injured worker there was issues there. So bottom line is, find the person, the law firm that you really are going to vibe with, and stick with them. And but anyways, it's been Kip from Alec Malik, and thanks for listening. Good luck. Goodbye. Stay safe. Don't get in work injuries. All right. Bye.